from Cardinal Gibbons High School, CFL alum, Matt Dubuc. Actually, you can bring him in now, guys, for the first segment. And then CFL on TSN's Jim Barker, Las Vegas guy. And in hour 3, Darren Bombing from Bonfire Sports in Winnipeg. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? Jump into it. Boom, boom, boom. Matt, as you know, Matt, we're pressed for time. So I'm going to open with this. We're going to get to some NFL stuff with you, Coach, but you watched this last night. Third-string quarterback Davis Alexander threw 2 touchdowns, came off the bench at halftime as the Alouettes rallied from a 16-3 halftime deficit to the Saskatchewan Roughriders at Percival Molson Stadium last night, and Montreal won 20-16 in a battle of division leaders. Als go to 6-1. Riders dropped to 5-2. That was the lid lifter to Week 8. I know we're going fast, but a third-string quarterback beat Canada's team, Matt. They're raging here in the Wheat Province. What did you see in the game?
Thanks for having me, obviously, Rod. And, watching the game last night, it goes back to, the things that we've talked about over and over with the Davis Alexander. Kind of looked like a Drew Brown repeat from last year, came in and just, ran the offense and did a great job. Our team's going to prepare for him a little differently next time they see him, maybe. But he's just looked really comfortable out there, and Caleb Evans didn't. So you go there, and then again you look at Montreal. Their defense is really good. Marc-Antoine Dupuis and Marcus Sales. Those guys are awesome. And let's talk about the kickers. No big kicks last night, no big returns, but hit the post twice. That's a big deal. And you don't get the single, you don't get to change possession or change field position. So I think Saskatchewan, they hit those 2 kicks. We might, the coach isn't getting roasted today like he's probably getting roasted. But that's why we love this game.
More than anything, what I'm hearing, Coach, is simply we've lost 2 of 3. Are we going in the wrong direction? How come we didn't score any points in the second half? Thought we were a second half or fourth quarter team. Blah, blah, blah. The usual. As I said to you, Matt, everybody wants to coach in Saskatchewan, the hotbed, until they coach in Saskatchewan and then realize everybody's up their ass 24/7, 365. Do you want that as a coach or not?
Yeah, I think because it's relevant, makes you relevant, listen, it's all about winning and losing, living and dying. I mean, when people care, it's all part of it. And Saskatchewan's probably the best market in the CFL, the toughest market. But look at last night at the crowd in Montreal. I don't know how many people they had, but I heard the horns blaring, and the fans looked like they were all in. And so, yeah, I think there's a resurgence of the CFL. I think people are enjoying it, and it's good when they're talking about it, good or bad.
Yeah, that is a fact. We only got Coach Dubuc for one segment here, so everybody, if you have questions, bring him in. We're going to get to the NFL stuff because we're airing on television in the USA solely today. But I want to get to this point, too, because I know you got all your CFL notes ready to go, Matt. From the CFL head office on Thursday, Edmonton quarterback McLeod Bethel-Thompson is back on the CFL's naughty list. The Elks quarterback has been fined after criticizing the schedule for a second time this season. Macbeth let loose after Edmonton and Ottawa each played on 5 days rest last week. It marked the second time Macbeth has ripped the league and the second time he's been fined for playing just 5 days apart. Also, Winnipeg linebacker Adam Bighill was fined for a late hit on Saskatchewan quarterback Shea Pedersen in the final play of the game in Week 7. Your thoughts on those guys getting nailed?
Lighten up, CFL front office. That's all part of it. The guy's probably 35 years old and his body's a little banged up. He's just complaining about that. And when Big Hill hits you, you better be ready. And if he hits you late, it happens. That's just football. So you can't let that stuff bother you.
You played in the CFL with Winnipeg and Toronto and at Texas Tech, and you're coaching young football players now. How do you feel about short weeks and the spacing of the CFL schedule in 2024?
They are what they are. I mean, everybody gets them, and you just have to, live with it. Complaining isn't going to make it any better. And you go out there and you just got to lay it on the line. You have to have a good roster. You have to make sure you have the depth you need. So when guys do get banged up, you can obviously make adjustments. Look at Frankie Hickson last night. You haven't really heard about him at all. Rushed for over 100 yards last night, and he looked great. He was fresh, again, that's part of the marathon that we're running when we play a football season. You get to the playoffs, then you sprint.
I mentioned USA only for television today, so I want to get to the National Football League. It's taking over everything. And, Matt, I'll turn the floor over to you in the last couple minutes for whatever you'd like to talk about. But here's some training camp notes that I've highlighted. The Dallas Cowboys started training camp in Oxnard, California, Thursday with contractual uncertainty around quarterback Dak Prescott, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, and linebacker Micah Parsons. But owner and general manager Jerry Jones is more worried about getting over the hump in the playoffs than resolving those financial questions. And also out of Lake Forest, Illinois, Chicago Bears safety Jonathan Owens has arranged to take leave from training camp and is heading to Paris Monday night to watch his wife Simone Biles compete for the U.S. gymnastics team. He was unable to watch her in the last Olympics. But to the Cowboys thing for a second, can you imagine being Mike McCarthy in a contractual situation? How do you approach that as a coach? Do you just coach who's there and not worry about it? Or how would you approach that if you were the Cowboys?
I mean, listen, there's not much the head coach doesn't know from what Jerry Jones is telling him. So, you just got to think like Jerry Jones wants to win the Super Bowl. So Jerry Jones is going to do everything in his power to make that happen. So he's not sitting on his hands. So, yeah, you're going to coach the guys that are there, but you're going to get those guys. And, training camp in the NFL now for vets is half of the time, they're holding their helmet in their hand. They're not getting much work until, the last preseason game. So, or the preseason game before the last one. So, training camp to me today is for evaluation of the second half of the roster, not the first half.
Well, interesting you say that. So CeeDee Lamb now holding out, Jordan Love up in Green Bay. I thought in a lifetime around coaches, it's catastrophic to miss a day. What about installation? You're saying it's not as catastrophic as it used to be for vets to miss training camp, holdouts or otherwise?
No. And you know what? It's actually a good thing because you do get a better evaluation process of the bubble players or guys that, hey, CeeDee Lamb, you better be careful because this dude right here that's coming out of college is a second or a third year player. We can pay him 1/4 of what we're paying you. And, there's a cap for everything now. So I think it really gives you an opportunity to evaluate bubble people and obviously the second and last part of your roster.
What about the Bears safety being excused from training camp to go watch his wife in the Olympics? I'll just say in our day, Matt, I'm not saying it's right, but I think Ron Lancaster missed the birth of all of his kids. Star quarterback in the CFL. It's just a different time. Your thoughts on that?
Don't get me started on that. Listen, if I put my wife on the show today, she would tell you I've missed every birthday, every holiday, every vacation. So I'm happy for the guy who's got an Olympian wife, and that's great. But me personally, I probably wouldn't have been able to walk away from my job. I watch it on TV.
Right. Okay. Fair.
I'm with you.
Good. So hey, we were raised a certain way, but it's why I've spent thousands of dollars on personal coaching here later in life. Maybe that wasn't the way in retrospect. Our poll question today is, what's the biggest storyline in the NFL entering this new season? Chiefs three-peat, Steelers quarterbacks. They got the new guys up there in Russell Williams and Justin Fields. 3, Cowboys all in. Jared says we're all in down here in Dallas or other. What's the biggest story for you, Coach, do you think, going into the new season?
I probably think it's other. I was talking to somebody last night and everybody has the same general manager theories. They all have a board. They all have this. They all have that. But let's face it, you're talking about 4 or 5 teams every year that get it right. So does everybody else fail? Does the system not work for them? So I don't know. It goes back to a hot quarterback, your offensive line, your defensive line, and then everything else is the icing on the cake, as they say. And you don't have those things consistently. And it's just like in the CFL, the quarterbacks that are these young guys that nobody's heard of are coming in and making plays, or they're going to be out of the league. When you get your opportunity, you got to make them. So, I'm sure Davis Alexander didn't get him many reps in camp. And it goes back to Saskatchewan with their quarterback. So Shea Patterson. So to stay in the league, these guys got to make plays. To get in the league, you got to make plays. So that's what it's all about.
Exactly. 5 minutes left with Coach Dubuc. And I know you are following the CFL so closely, so I want to bring you on with what you've prepared for. I'm going to get to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a second, but tonight's game, Friday Night Football, is Calgary and Ottawa. The Red Blacks are off to their best start in franchise history. It's only 4-2, but it still is. Calgary's winless on the road. How do you see this one plays out in the nation's capital tonight?
You know I'm bullish on the quarterback in Calgary, so I'm going with Calgary tonight. I think Calgary gets a road win. I think the league is so close right now and so tight. I think Calgary just finds a way, and I'm a big Dave Dickinson fan. I would really watch him coach during games. I really think he does a good job. So I'm going with Jake Mayer and the Stampeders.
I went with Calgary too. My regular co-host, Moose DuPont, who's not here, he's working at the CKPG Women's Open in Calgary. He has gone with Ottawa, and I'm kicking his ass in the pool. Winnipeg did not score a touchdown last week in their loss at Saskatchewan. I think they only had one passing touchdown all season. It was thrown by Chris Strevler. Are the good days over for your former club, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Matt?
They win this week. They come back. Caleros plays good. He probably throws 4 or 5 touchdowns. When are they getting the Kenny Lawler back? Because that's a big, that's a deep threat that he's lost. And again, they win last week for not with that interception, or not, excuse me, the fumble on that late pass to number 10. Can't remember his name, but he's good.
Nick Dembski.
Nick Dempsey fumbles that ball on the 20-yard line, 25-yard line. They're going in to score, so that's a different deal. So, turnovers in football and taking care of the ball. And Caleros is still Caleros. He's still a really good player, and they're going to be just fine.
I'm holding you to that. I want to believe that. But their loss in Sask last week was not good. Like, can you see why their fans are concerned? They know ball in Winnipeg. You know that. You played. They know. And they're concerned, Matt, that they're not getting better. That not even that they've plateaued, that they're starting to slide. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I don't agree with that. I don't think Caleros has played his best football yet. So I still think there's opportunity to go vertical with them. And then, listen, they are an aging roster. It's very clear. They are looking their age a little bit. But those guys typically get through the first hump of the season, and then the sprint starts. So they're plotting right now. They're plotting. They're going to be fine. I'm not worried about them at all.
Okay. I would typify you, correct me if I'm wrong, as a Jones guy. He introduced you and I. I'm grateful to him for that. His Elks are home to Hamilton on Sunday in the Toilet Bowl, brought to you by Charmin. Ticats at Elks on Sunday. Does Edmonton finally win this one, do you think?
I don't think so. I talked to G. Roy Simon 2 days ago. We had a great conversation. He's a Jones guy. I don't think so. I think Hamilton's kind of figured it out a little bit, and I think they're going to make a little bit of a push. Chad Kelly, they need Chad Kelly back like ASAP in Toronto. I don't know when that's going to happen, but he needs to come back. But what I'm going to share with you and everybody is the defenses on pretty much every team has played really well, except Hamilton and some Spurs have played bad. But I just think there's a lot of parity right now, and you're seeing a lot of new names and new faces at quarterback coming in and kind of emerging. And is that going to push out the younger guys? Yeah, and I talked to G. Roy about Trey Ford, and I said, why doesn't anybody package plays for that guy? Like, he's fast. Make the have McLeod in there and then bring him in for a 3rd and 5 and let him run. Let him chase you around. He says, yeah, we're going to try to get into that. And he didn't want to do it before. Trey Ford apparently didn't want to do that. Well, you're the coach. You're either going to do it or you're going to go play for somebody else.
Yeah, who's running the show, right? Matt, We've covered it all. You're getting good at this media thing. Don't get too good or you'll take Jim Barker's job because your old coach is coming in next. You have a great weekend, Matt. Enjoy the games. I'll be talking with you.
Take care, Rod. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Canadian fans, you're awesome. And American fans, you're great. Take care.
There you go. The fans are the best. Without them, there's no us.